Hello, everybody. My name is Chet Zar, in case you didn't know, and this is the Dark Art Society podcast. Today is episode 150, my interview with my old friend, Nathan Cartwright. Nathan is a great artist and an even greater person. Really good, positive energy guy. And I had a great time talking to him. Super fun. Talking about old times because we started together and sort of came up together in the art scene, and both went on to both do our own kind of things. And anyway, great conversation with Nathan. Great guy. I really value his friendship. It's just a great friend. Anyway, I might be kind of lagging tonight because I am so tired. I want to go to sleep so bad right now. It's only 8:30 p.m. Tuesday night. I'm behind on the podcast, and so I'm recording. I'm being a good soldier and finishing this up right now and posting it tonight so that all you Patreon people will get your podcast not quite a day early, but at least a little bit early. If you're up tonight, I should have it done in a couple hours. 8, 9, should be up by 10 p.m., 9:30 p.m., something like that. Yeah. So anyway, I'm just wiped out, zonked. I got up early today and just been working hard, the usual, you know. I'm really trying to catch up on everything, but boy, oh boy, it doesn't seem to be working. This year, it's going to be it. Okay, let's get on with things. So, what am I doing? I've been spaced out lately. I've just been working too hard, I think. Finished a commission. I have so many of these commissions and things to do that I'm just kind of like grabbing one and trying to complete it, and then jumping onto another and trying to complete it. And so it's been a little bit crazy making, but I am getting things done. I got this one commission for a friend's book project. Gary Diocampo and Micheline Pitt. It's like a movie project called Grummy that was kickstarted, and there was a book component. And the book is called it's artists interpreting the theme of a girl and her monster, which is the theme of the short film she's making. I think it's a short film. Anyway, so that was time sensitive, so I had to finish that thing, and I was way late on it, so I finished it. It came out really good. Used my granddaughter as a model for that. I posted it on my Patreon. I'm pretty oh, did I? Yeah, I did. I'm pretty happy with it. So I did that. I got to finish my conjoined sculpture. It's only 2 weeks to go. We really kind of dropped the ball on conjoined this year. I guess Gary and I both being really busy, so we forgot to send. We just kept putting it off, sending out invites. So, and I ended up kind of getting a smaller group of artists this year, and mostly local people, just because it was so put off till the last minute. We're trying to make things a little easier on ourselves. So if you've been in before and you didn't get an invite, that's why we kind of fucked up. So I apologize for that. Anyway, that's happening. So I have to get a sculpture done. I have to get something done for that. And I have to cast up a new big conjoined heart, which I do every year. You do a different finish, like a different color scheme or something. I don't know what I'm going to do. But it's less than 2 weeks, right? It opens on the 22nd. Yeah, it's a week and a half. I don't know. I'm crazy. Okay. Anyway, let's get this over with so I can get back to work. Okay. First, I'm going to read the new patrons, the new Patreon subscribers. And I'm not sure where I left off, so I'm going to start with Buddy Nestor. You know him. You love him. Buddy Nestor. He's an artist and an art collector and a funny guy. Okay. Thank you, Buddy. Appreciate that. Ashley. Thank you, Ashley. Okay. Zaki Sati Art. Thank you, Zaki Sati Art. Michael Cunliffe and Joey Black. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the Dark Art Society Patreon, where you get your podcast a day early, or at least maybe not 24 hours early, but usually the day before. Sometimes even earlier, though, so it all balances out. You also get entry to the secret Facebook group, which we are trying to migrate to the website. Josh G built this amazing website, and so far it hasn't been used that much, but it's so good. So I'm going to have to do some promotion for that to try and get people to go onto the Dark Art Society website, darkartsociety.com, because you get membership there. And I think I'm going to do like an art giveaway or something good to get people on there. But you know, one of many things that needs to be done. Okay. Anyway, thank you, new patrons. You are making the podcast happen. I absolutely wouldn't be doing this podcast if that money wasn't coming in. There's no way. So you are making it happen if you're subscribing to the Patreon, so that everyone else gets to hear it for free. You are the heroes. All right. Okay. 5 questions. This week, I solicited the 5 questions from my personal Instagram page. So they may be. Normally, I get them from Facebook, so maybe they'll be a little bit different. Okay, I'm just gonna go down the list here. Wendy. Okay, at Wendy Olsen Art, Olsen. My question would be, is there value to an artist in having a website these days with social media being so prevalent? I've so far had such mixed reactions to this. Well, I have to agree with Josh G from the Instagram episode he did. I used to know what that was, but now I can't remember. Maybe I could look it up and not have it sound weird. Maybe not. Anyway, he did a great episode. Okay, I'm going to find it. He did a great episode. I interviewed him. He talked about basically how to deal with the algorithm on Instagram. And it's, I think, the most listened to podcast episode we've done. Now I just need to find it. I'm scrolling down. I'm about to hit it. It's going to happen really soon here. And then once I hit, here we go. Episode 110, Josh G. Listen to that one if you want to know how to market your artwork on social media, particularly Instagram. But he makes the point that, remember MySpace? Remember how everybody was on MySpace? And then all of a sudden, nobody was on MySpace? And it was kind of like losing your website all of a sudden, in a way, if that's where you were conducting all your business. So yes, it's important to have a home-based website, because these social media companies will change. Anything could happen nowadays. Facebook could go down, and they're losing people all the time on Facebook. Me being one of them. I haven't been on social media nearly as much as I used to be because I can't deal with it anymore. Just too much drama, too much negativity, too much obnoxious opinions about every goddamn thing. And politics it's all maddening. So I haven't been on there. I know a lot of people that have dropped off. But my point is that you should always have a home base. This is what Josh G talks about. I totally agree with him. So yes, definitely have a website. Let me see here. The Art of Tony V. At The Art of Tony V. Two-part question, sorry. I saw you recently had a booth at a tattoo show. Do you find these types of shows to be the best place to showcase your work? If not, what types of art shows have you found to be the best place to showcase dark art? Good question. I find that tattoo shows are good for dark art, really. That or kind of, horror conventions, Monsterpalooza type places, they do well there. But it really, I found it's, you have to have your name has to be recognizable for you to really do well, I think. I mean, that's been my case. The more well-known I've been, the better I've sold. So, and I'm well-known in the tattoo community, so that's a good fit for me. But also the tattoo community is totally into dark art. So the thing about tattoo conventions are I've found that many of my buyers are tattoo artists themselves. So if it's a slow show for whatever reason and they're not making a lot of money, then I don't sell as much. If they have a good show and they're making a lot of money, then they come by the booth and they usually buy something. So, yeah, that's, I guess, I think tattoo shows are a great place to show dark art. And if you want a sympathetic and accepting audience, tattoo shows are the way to go. Okay. Here's another convention question. At Chicken Wing. Selling at conventions. Some do's, don'ts, and how to prepare. Be friendly. Talk to people. I like to set my booth up to where it's open so people come in, as opposed to having a table. It cuts you off from all the art that's hanging up on the wall behind me. I'm probably not as talkative as I should be, but it's important to engage people and, engage with them and talk about the artwork and be friendly and don't be standoffish and don't be on your phone and not paying attention. I think that those are some good pointers. How to prepare. Have a wide range of options for, price points. Have a wide range of price points, like, from $5 items up to $500 items and everything in between. I make probably most of my money. I don't know. Last tattoo convention I did, I kind of sold a little bit of everything, but always good to hit. The more price points you have, the better you'll do, I think, because you can kind of cater to everyone's financial disposition. Is that the right word for that? Financial ability. So, okay. Yeah. And I don't know, as far as preparation, have all your prices down, written on a list so you don't have to think about it. I don't do this as often as I should, but it's taking an inventory is good, because if you know how much you sold, then you can figure out, you can add it all up and figure out, how much you actually made after booth costs and stuff. Okay, so that was 3, I believe. Oops, sorry. Okay. At Eva Boniva. What was your biggest struggles as an artist? And when you look back on that struggle now, what advice would you give yourself? There's been so many struggles, but I would say the number one struggle has been money. Making enough money. I think that's the main struggle for every artist. What would I tell myself now? Stick with it. I don't know. I'm still trying to learn how to better make more money. It's an ongoing process. I guess one thing. No, I already knew that. I was gonna say some advice I would give to other artists is that are struggling with money is don't have that poverty mindset. Don't fall into that trap, that cliche of artists are poor, artists are broke. Money's bad. Money's evil. Money's the root of all evil. No, fuck that shit. The world needs more wealthy artists. I mean, we need to be the rich people. Just think of what we could do if we had all the money instead of the assholes in the ruling class. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Okay. Last movie you worked on. The last movie I worked on, that's from Demiurge, at Demiurge83. Okay, this is number 4, right? Last movie I worked on was called Bliss, directed by Joe Begos. Begos. It's a crazy, psychedelic, evil, drug, sex, vampire movie. It's pretty amazing. All shot on 16 millimeter. And I painted the centerpiece painting for it. The movie's basically about this woman who, an artist who's painting throughout the whole movie. She's painting this painting, and I made the painting. So it was a really cool experience. Definitely you should check it out. It's a really cool movie, and it's called Bliss, and you can get the Blu-ray on Amazon, and I think it's going to be on, or if it's not already, it's going to be on Shudder, the subscription service. So check it out. Oh, and a bunch of other the main characters' studios all filled with a bunch of my artwork on the walls and stuff. So it's pretty cool. And I think I got a title credit, which is my first. Okay. Okay, at Dreams of Ego, do you feel that the designation of dark art applies more to individual pieces of work or to the artists themselves? Interesting question I've never considered. Wow. Let's see. So I guess it would be more to the individual pieces of work. Because, an artist can do something outside of that genre. That I've painted things that aren't dark art that don't fall under that. Stephen King has written non-horror stories. So, by the way, that's whenever people talk about, dark art can never be that popular, or you can never make money at dark art. I just say Stephen King and Clive Barker. I rest my case. Especially Stephen King. I mean, Stephen King is, a superstar, big time mega dude, and he's done it with horror. So there's a desire for it. There's a place for it in the world. Okay. Last bit of chit chat here is we're trying to get the documentary that Mike Carell made about me called Chet Zar, I Like to Paint Monsters. We're trying to get that onto Netflix with a campaign, a recommendation campaign. So if you look in the SoundCloud description where I've posted this podcast, there's a link, and it will tell you how you can recommend Chet Zar Like to Paint Monsters and help get it on Netflix. It's like netflix.com/en/title request or something. If you just Google, title request Netflix, it'll come up. Yeah, so if you could do that, it would be really cool because we want to get this thing out to people. Yeah, it's help.netflix.com/en/title request, one word. But it's under that Netflix Help Center. If you could do that, I would appreciate it. If everybody did that listened to the podcast, it would probably get on there, I imagine. And it's not, this isn't about making money. This is about just getting it on Netflix, because you can't really make money with documentaries, we've discovered. All right, let's get on with this interview. It's a really, really good one. My good buddy, Nathan Cartwright. Here goes. Starting now. Okay, the conversation's so good, I just had to start recording. All right, what's up, Nathan?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. I'm looking at Nathan. He's with Bacon, and Bacon is it a pity, or is it like
called American Bully?
That's the same thing though. That's what they call Pitbull. Pitbull's not even a real thing, really. I don't think.
Yeah,
it's like Staffies or Staffordshire Bull Terriers or bully breeds.
I guess 24 years ago they kind of created this new weird conglomeration of a Staffy and Bulldogs.
Oh, really?
There's different sizes, and he's
oh, he's so cute. Oh my God, I wanna.
They created a muscle dog that just lays around ever since he was 5 months old.
I'm gonna take a picture of him.
Hang out.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God, he's just so cute. I'll post him on Patreon. I wanna.
He has an Instagram.
Really?
Bacon Bits Man.
Bacon Bits Man.
He does like to dress up. He wears top hats. He had a little photo shoot with some luchadors for.
Oh my God. Yeah, pit bulls or these bully breeds are so tolerant. They'll let you do anything to them.
Right.
Does he do this like? When you go, well, I don't know if you let him sleep. I'm assuming maybe you let him sleep with you because he's.
I do, man. He's broken me.
Okay, so.
Don't let him start out sleeping with me, but he's allowed to jump into bed. Like when I'm in my deep REM, he can come on in.
Okay, because every one of our pit bulls, they always end up sleeping with us, and they won't move. They will not fucking move. Like other dogs, you push them and they get out of the way. They don't want to be. It annoys them and they get up. All the pits we've had, this is Tatsu, Baby Girl, Doc. It's like they won't get up. They'll just lay there. It's so annoying, but it's just like they can't be bothered.
Yours are way bigger too, man. That's like 100 pounds. Bacon's 50 pounds. Yours are like 100.
Oh, Bacon's only 50? He looks bigger than that.
Only 50 pounds.
Yeah, I think Baby.
You and my brother both. You guys inspired me to get something short-haired. I like my brother's pit bull was sleeping with me in Columbus. I'd go home and.
They're the best, man.
Yeah.
They're the sweetest dogs ever.
Yeah, they're all about the owner. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. I see you haven't got his nuts cut yet.
I still got the nuts.
You gotta get them nuts cut.
Yeah. He still got the family jewels. We're gonna freeze some juice.
Are you really?
In case. Yeah, man.
You can do that?
Yeah, there's a place here in San Diego. It's a cryo sperm bank.
I don't want to know how they get it.
Okay, dude. So I called them up. They sent me the PDF, and on the PDF, one of the things you need to bring down is a teaser bitch. So I'm like, what? What is a teaser bitch? So you need a dog. You need to provide, or they can provide a teaser bitch for $35 or something like that.
Wow.
And they basically put a female dog in front of the male, and then they
Wow.
yeah, like a sperm bank. They give you the magazines.
That'd be a good band name. Teaser bitch.
Teaser bitch.
Okay, wow. We've already learned so much. And just, the first
degress or regress.
4 minutes of the podcast is like full of knowledge. Nathan dropping knowledge. All right. So anyway, for those of you who don't know Nathan Cartwright, he is one of my oldest friends in the art scene. We go way back. We started at the same time, I believe, back when we were nobodies, and we have risen to dominate the art world. I'm just kidding. But no, we both started off. Okay. Nathan's a sculptor and a painter because he paints his sculptures, really. You don't do a lot of 2D paintings, though, do you?
Not for a while.
You're mostly a sculptor, primarily, but you paint your sculptures.
Yeah, sculpting flat, a little bit more flat.
Yeah, it's like bas-relief sculptures you do. They're kind of like painting sculptures in a weird way, a lot of them. Sort of. Yeah. But, and they're awesome. Very different. Doesn't look like anybody else's work. Very unique. Very you. So, okay, we started like around the same time. Do you remember what year that was? Roughly?
The Hive is since 2005, so we were doing our thing in like 2002.
Oh my God. That is crazy.
Yeah. So 18 years?
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember we started out, I think we met each other through Cannibal Flower, right?
Yes.
Okay.
LC. Yep.
So you were living in the loading dock at Cannibal Flower amongst the rats. That's what I remember.
It was a space called Hangar 1018.
Oh, Hangar 1018. Okay, I'm sorry.
And it was a warehouse, and I was actually the first featured artist in that space with Cannibal Flower.
Oh.
Cannibal Flower had their first show in that space. Cannibal Flower had been going on for well before then.
Yeah, and Cannibal Flower would jump. It didn't have like a primary location. And
then this space became a very primary location for several years.
Right.
Every month, a new show. And, so I was living in the... After I'd shown there as a featured artist, I was kind of jumping around and then settled in that space in the loading dock.
The loading dock.
With my wall was a pull-up gate, and that street, Santa Fe's a truck route. So, and across the street was the Playpen Strip Club. So, all night trucks would just rattle that gate.
Oh man!
And we had donated a wall. It was literally a wall of this nasty Indian beer. We had boxes of this Indian. I don't even remember what it was called. It was nasty. I like Indian beer. I like Taj Mahal and all that stuff. But this was some weird beer that they were just giving away. And so my back wall was the gate, the pull-up gate, and a wall of this beer.
Of cheap beer.
Cheap, nasty beer that no one would drink.
That's amazing. God, if you think about it, that's like that's the art life in a nutshell, right there, man. You do whatever it takes. You do whatever it takes. You're willing to live in a loading dock. So you lived there, and what did you help kind of with the events there?
Yeah, so Lance and I would put on
Lance.
Hangar crew. Yeah, Lance was just in town actually.
What was his last name?
Lance Sanders.
Yeah, Lance. I remember him.
He was a band If, and so we had a music studio, so there was a lot of the best underground music, Ninja Academy and Woven, and all these bands were really based in there as well. Recording studio was next to the loading dock, and so I had my station, and then next door was the recording studio, and then the big warehouse space. Lance and I and the rest of the Hangar guys, we put on shows, monthly shows as well.
At the Hangar, they were like there was Cannibal. They would rent out to other places. Then they would have, and then you guys would have your own events also.
Yep, Cannibal Flower was there every month. The Hangar would do some kind of show, and that was where I'd paint the big props out of foam and stuff like that. And we did the Max, which was like a live painting show, and Chet Zar was there painting. I have some good photos of that.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, it's funny because I'm remembering this stuff for the first time, just you talking about it. Because it's been like the whole art life thing has been kind of I just jumped in and I never really looked back because it was like I didn't know what I was doing, and I just kept trying to figure out what the fuck to do, where to go, how to keep this thing afloat. And it was just, I'm sure it's the same way for you, right? And you just kind of like, you go with it, and then you all of a sudden you're, in wherever you're at whatever point, and you're just going, wow, that was crazy.
The vortex. It's like, once you're in it and it's kind of working, you're just in it full force. There's no,
there's no backing out.
I have to reflect being a gallery owner because I like to. I am really connected to my past and my family,
Right.
But it does suck you in.
Yeah, that's what you're in such a unique position. I want to get there's many facets of you I want to get to, but before we get into your art career and your personal work, you are the owner of the Hive Gallery. You started the Hive, right? And that's kind of crazy. The model you have, the gallery model you have is so unusual. It's really different. At least from galleries I've experienced, it's really a different scene. It's really unique amongst all the gallery scenes, I think. Wouldn't you say so?
I think so. I didn't start a gallery to be starting a gallery, though. I was an artist.
Right.
I worked with other artists, and the Hangar was already a great model of artists working together. And I really love being around artists and working with artists, and I loved that environment, just being around creative people, music people, art people. So it was more of a natural thing. I was already putting on shows and loved showing the art. So for me to be able to survive, it made sense to have studios and everything. Because I don't have an inheritance or anything like that. I had to figure out how to do this on my own. And
you don't have you don't have a trust fund, don't we?
I do not, man. I do not.
That's such a weird thing hearing about trust funds. Like some people, I've heard them talk about it like everybody's got a trust fund. It's like I don't know anybody that has a trust fund. That's like a different world. It would be so.
I think maybe in LA. LA is a very lucky city. There's a lot of a lot of wealthy people want to migrate here and be here and stuff.
It's just weird.
There's all crazy artists and actors and people that
that's true
don't have it over here. So
yeah.
You meet a lot more people like that here than you would in where I was, like Columbus, Ohio. I'm sure they're there for sure, but it's a lot more regular out here.
Yeah. It's a lot more people crammed into a smaller space, also in a way too. All different types of people. But okay, so what is it that makes your gallery? I don't know, your gallery different. You have a gallery, and then you've got artist spaces within the gallery, so people rent little studios in the gallery, and then you have like your art shows are like crazy parties where people are like throwing cake around and running around and weird bands and shit. All kinds of. You always have. I just
Well,
probably the last show I went to. I just remember there was cake. I mean, I know it was a long time ago, but there was like cake all over the floor, and people were just running around like insane. So it might not be like that now.
no, unfortunately, we don't have the cake orgies. The cake orgies are not as. I've focused a little bit more on the art part.
Okay.
Over time, I realized that I am a businessman at the same time, and I realized that maybe some of the stuff that was going on might not be completely legal. Once downtown became more popular, I was just very gently told that, yeah, well, those probably you're going to have to pay a huge fine if you're doing that, and that. And so I had to be more realistic on what I do.
Right.
I don't have the crazy cake orgies as much. I can do that for private parties. So, when we had all the music and the DJs and everything, because we have okay, well, let's start with the question. First of all, when you come into the gallery, there's 2 large gallery rooms that change every month. The second room of that is more of like we call it the salon wall, and I bring in local artists and artists that are just beginning from around the world.
Right.
And so that's kind of the life of like that monthly thing that happens every month is that there's always new art, there's featured artists, there's up to 5 featured artists. So that's the front 2.
Right.
Then you start getting into all the nooks and crannies of the actual Hive, which are all these studios. And artists run their business out of my space. They have their own walls. They have their own studios. I have some guys that have been with me for the entire time, almost 15 years.
Wow. Like who?
Patrick Camerline does very well with his work, and Greg Gold is another guy that's been with me for quite a long time.
Oh, cool.
So those spaces go all the way to the back, and then we have an upstairs area that's working studios.
Okay.
And when we started, all of the downstairs studios were working studios, and then upstairs was just my studio. But now,
what does that mean? A working? What are what are the lower studios then? If they're not working studios,
those
are
those are exhibition studios.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They used to be work studios, like when you were there,
right?
Cake orgy days. Those were actual working studios, but people started selling. And people that I've been showing for years before the Hive were starting to come in, and there was just a really quick transition of those studios becoming exhibition studios, not work studios.
Right, right.
I mean, I'd love for people to be working down there, but it's just we're a legit gallery. We're open, Wednesday through Saturday, 1 to 6. We have openings. We have the downtown art walk. We have all these different events.
Yeah, you're very.
So they get a lot of value in just being seen. So most of them don't work downstairs.
So do they work? They work upstairs?
They work at home.
Oh,
or
okay.
wherever they work, or if they have another studio, and then we have upstairs work studios where they don't generally have studios downstairs, and I have about 9 to 10 artists up there.
Oh my god, the place is packed. It's got to be packed. That's
probably 40 studio artists, including the exhibitions.
Amazing. So that's cool. So it's like you've got the 2 big gallery rooms and then a bunch of like kind of mini galleries of artists. That's amazing.
It's like it's a hive.
Mm-hmm. And you're the king bee.
I love the discovery aspect of anything. I mean, my art is about discovery, opening up doors and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I love people being brave and being able to interact, to kind of look around a corner, go to a place in the Hive where they haven't been, and they discover something.
Yeah.
Idea down there is this interactive work studio art honeycomb.
Yeah, it is. It's a hive. It's the perfect name, actually. Another cool thing too is that you've shown you've like debuted some major artists at your place, haven't you? I mean, I know you've shown Audrey Kawasaki. I think you were the first person to show her, and she's kind of mega now.
Yeah, she's a lot of. Well, all that started at the Hangar, even before the Hive. So, I mean, just because that was such an important time for this art scene.
Right.
all the artists that were just crossing through from all different angles, and Hive just kind of rolled in right as that was happening. So yeah, many artists have started out with me or shown with me, and I've at least had them up on the walls.
You're the kingmaker.
That's right.
If you think,
I don't try. I show what I like.
Yeah,
so
right.
Like, it's not like, oh, this artist is gonna be famous. I do it because I love the work. I can see that the person has high skill, has a voice, and so there's a lot of art happening. Nick Moore, Audrey Kawasaki.
What was the first one you said?
Nathan Spore was showing.
Oh yeah.
Stuff, and so many artists in that time that were building up.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It's so weird to think.
Joe Ledbetter, that whole scene.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of funny. I mean, they all started there. Anyone from Southern California, they were all kind of in the Hangar.
Right.
Rolling into the Hive, and then bigger galleries were picking them up pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up. Is that I remember how it was so exciting that time. I really felt like it was like I don't know, the heyday of any scene, like the punk scene or whatever, whatever scene that ended up being this big deal. I remember because it's like being in this grassroots underground thing that people didn't really know about other than artists and people that went to art shows. But it was big, man. It was like every weekend.
Huge shows. I mean, huge turnouts, lines out the door.
Right.
Like Cannibal Flower anniversary shows, there was always like a huge line to get in, and these were big spaces. I mean, the Hangar was 6,000 square feet. And the Hive was only 3,000, and it was packed. I remember being super packed for those shows. Like a Chet Zar show, a Copro. Flying down the Bergamot station. I'm like, man.
It was just so much fun because, everyone was just starting out pretty much, like Luke Chu is another one that was, everybody, like you were saying, everybody that's, showing now and has established themselves started back then. And it was just, man, it was just exciting. I don't even socialize like that anymore like I used to back in the day, because it's like, it was every weekend you'd go to an art show and you'd be meeting people, and it was super scrappy, and bring your artwork the night before and the show is the next day, and then Sunday coming back and pick it up, or it's going to get thrown into storage and you may never see it again.
Right. But you were because you came in and you'd been doing the special effects. You came in pretty well. It wasn't like you came in as a businessman, but you were way more mature. I think you kind of, because you were already making a living as an artist, and then you came in, but it was like your pieces were more kind of narrative, like they were almost like dreamscapes when you first came in.
Right.
And you were doing some close-ups on face parts, but
yeah, that was my early stuff.
You were just learning.
Yeah,
you were just soaking it up like a sponge. Like,
totally.
How do I do this art thing outside of makeup effects? And focused.
It was my lifeboat, because at that point I was like, I got to get out of effects. I just had to get out, and so I had made this decision. I'm determined to get out of this. And, it's hard to leave a job that's paying well, that you've totally established in, easy to get work in and stuff. So it was, I had to make it work. And so, yeah, I took it very seriously. And plus I was like, let me see, I must have been 35 or something by then. So I was already like, had kids and a house and everything. So it was like, I kind of came into it having already been through the ringer and made all my dumb mistakes that you do when you're a young person.
Yep. And at some point in time there, right in the beginning, around 2005 was when they became more. It's like because they became more portrait
Yeah,
style.
totally. It was 2005 is when I did that first cone-headed bald dude, and that was at the Hangar. I sold that, I think, at the Hangar. I think Gary bought it.
I remember it.
And then the next show, I did two. I was like, oh, that sold. So I did two more like that, and then those sold like in 5 minutes or something. And the next show there, and so I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna do monster portraits now.
Dude, it was genius though, because you already were a master at just texturing and makeup. So it was like you got to use that skill set, but then also bring out your abstract mind, your dreamscape and characters. Like it's like all about narrowing down. Because when you start out, it's so big. Like I can do anything. I don't know what to do, and it's really confusing. And you could go for decades confused. I mean, not confused, but exploring.
Yeah, right.
And you just like really quickly like figured out.
Well, if you think
everything you want with that,
it took me like I made the decision in 2000. I remember it was 2000 because I was working on Planet of the Apes. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do fine art.
Planet of the Apes.
and then I did that soft spot sculpture. Remember that one? I think
that coolest ever, man. That's
thank you. And then I did that, and then I was like, okay, that took like a year or something, doing it on weekends and molding and casting, and it was just like, no way can I make a living at this. So then I switched to painting, probably in 2001, 2002, and it really took me, it was about 3 years of just, doing versions, not non-portrait stuff, basically, more like, very Mark Ryden influence, but still kind of monstery and. I was trying to figure, and like you were saying, close-ups of like eyes and weird stuff like that. And then it was like the portrait thing was just one of the things I stumbled upon in my experimentations. And then the response was so good, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just keep going with that because it was just as fun as the other stuff I was doing, So
that's what cracked the egg was when you right in that 2000 time.
Yeah,
you got to explore the Chet Zar nightmare dreamscape.
Yeah.
And then it's like you kind of like dissolve and then you come back together. That's
right.
Together.
Yep.
Way stronger, more focused. Yeah.
Yep. And I painted your portrait at that time too. Remember that?
Oh my God. Yes, Monica and Brian purchased that piece. I'm so pissed I didn't buy that one.
You should have bought it.
That was a scary piece, man. That was...
It was called Nathan Extra Crazy.
Very eyeball.
Yeah, that was
very eyeballs, like kind of like Jacob's Ladder a little bit, but.
Yep. Yeah. That was great.
They talk about that. They're still good friends of mine, and they collect some of my work, and they're collectors, and we still got Nathan Extra Crazy. Looking at us every day.
That's so funny, man. Those are the days. Wow. So, okay. I want to know how you wound up. How did you basically your journey from, coming out to LA to where you are now, basically? That's what I want to know. So tell me that story. How did you wind up in the loading dock at the Hangar? That was like the first place you wound up, right?
Yeah, that was a little bit more than that, but
okay.
But yeah, it was a pretty wild journey. So I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio. I had come out west to do I did this AmeriCorps thing. Clinton back in the day made this AmeriCorps thing where you work for 10 months doing projects. Like I taught English as a second language and worked with autistic people in Salt Lake City. I did a bunch of projects out here. I love the West Coast. So did that. Lived out here a little bit, and then I went back.
Where are you from, though, to start? You're from?
Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, okay.
Yeah. And I wanted to do art therapy. I love working with people with interesting minds. I mean, I really enjoyed working with, like, autistic people and stuff like that. And I like working with art, maybe people with schizophrenia, whatever. and kind of just helping them through the process, through art. So I'd applied to go to Art Institute of Chicago, got accepted. I had a bunch of grants and stuff to go there. But I was sitting in the bathtub one day reading one of my favorites, Joseph Campbell. And, his whole thing, I mean, it's a simple quote, but it's follow your bliss.
See?
That's,
I'm always talking about that.
Reading, and it's like, I mean, I love the idea that I got the scholarship and all that, but my bliss is making art, making what I make.
Right.
And I'm a camper. I'm into hiking and stuff. So you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna go do the master's thing. I'm gonna go into the forests across the country.
You got all the grants and you didn't go?
I did not go.
Wow.
I decided to be an artist.
Wow, that's cool. That's kind of what I did too.
Yeah. So I just decided what I was gonna do. Because I had a van, I was going to camp in the National Forest and make art and try to sell my art in big cities across the country.
Wow. I had no idea. I had no idea. That's crazy, man. That's cool.
Off. Yeah. They were pissed because I think, part of their plan was like, yeah, get your master's, and I said, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to camp and make art. So I was just, my parents want the best for their kids, and I understand that.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so I went and started doing that, and in the Bighorn Wilderness, I saw a mountain lion and had all this stuff happen. And in the middle of nowhere, came out of a national park or national forest. Called my brother on September 11th, 2001. From a truck stop, and my parents were pissed at me at the time, so I called my brother just to find out what's going on, how are things, how's mom and dad. And he's like, dude, you don't know what happened? The Pentagon just got hit. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, I'm literally out of my mind. I've been alone for a couple months,
Wow.
Painting. And he says, I didn't know what the Twin Towers were. That wasn't like a common term back then, but when the Pentagon got hit, I was like blown away. And he's like, and the Twin Towers went down. I'm like, what the hell? So all that happened. I'm in the middle of nowhere. And
where were you during this?
I was actually, I'd come out of the Bighorn Wilderness of the Dakotas, and I was kind of going into like Wyoming.
What were you driving?
A minivan. So I stripped everything down, and I was living. I had everything I needed to survive.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. I can't believe that.
And the first person I turned to was this dude at the truck stop. I'm like, dude, the Pentagon just got hit. And this guy, he's like, oh, really? And then his wife comes out. He tells his wife, the Pentagon has just been hit in the Twin Towers. And the woman looks at me, and she says, have you taken the Lord Jesus Christ as your Savior? I'm like, what the fuck? What is going on? I'm like, I'm already out of my mind. I mean, I was in an altered state because I've been alone.
Right.
Going through the process, and then these crazy people, they drive away back of their van and said the Jesus Christ Sun Chasers. First people I told on 9/11 were these crazy, probably fundamentalists.
Wow.
So, anyways, that kind of grounded me a little bit, and that made me kind of want to get into like places I knew. So I started working.
I have to ask before you get into it. Okay, you just have to take me through what your life was like for those couple of months. You were just parked in state parks where they let you park or something, and then you would take your stuff out into the forest and paint. Yeah,
so we pay for national forests with our tax, whatever you pay,
right.
you know.
Right.
So as you get further out, the Midwest, it's a little rough, and the East Coast, it's just too populated. But as you start going west over the Great Divide, there's a lot of national forests, and it's generally free.
Right.
Parking on the national, not in LA, we have to pay a forest pass, like a day pass or something.
Right.
Yeah, you can go into the forest and you can camp for as long as you want. You just have to move a certain amount of feet every 2 weeks.
Right.
So settled in, And I actually was doing some commissions, and I had sold some stuff already in Chicago, and I had a show in Indiana. I kind of planned shows.
Interesting. It's so unusual. I've never heard of anybody doing that before. Traveling around and staying in forests, and then you're working outdoors the whole time to create your work?
Easy, because I already loved camping, and I loved the wilderness out here. And when I came out here for AmeriCorps, I'd had a little taste of it and had some pretty interesting experiences. So I already knew that was a peak. I already peaked on that experience. I already knew that was like
where you wanted to be.
I'm all about, I just want to make art. So I wanted to be. So that was a great way to not have a job and survive and make art and just try to make it work, see how things come through. I'd saved like maybe a couple $1,000.
That's amazing.
So I had that, hold it, and just kind of did it. But
okay, you can go on.
So yeah, I can't. I mean, it was very emotional. Like I went through major, emotions. I'd cry. I'd have elation. When you're alone like that, it's interesting. I'm alone all the time now. I work for days of being alone in my talking to people. I have to turn off the stations, but first starting out, I'm young, probably in my 20s or whatever. So it's pretty wild,
Yeah.
Great experience.
Crazy. And, okay. I just had to. That's a trip. So interesting. I didn't know that. Okay. So anyway.
So I came out of the forests after 9/11. I reconnected with the family, and just kind of started staying. I stayed with some friends. I was staying with this guy, Anthony Weaver, down in San Diego. He let me work in his garage. It was a house with a bunch of guys, and I was just a creator, and that was so cool. He let me work there and stuff. And then I had an ex-girlfriend that lived up in West Hollywood. So I started coming up, visiting her, hanging out, and I asked her, where's the art scene here? I can't find the art out in West Hollywood. It was like, I couldn't understand West Hollywood. There was nowhere to walk to. All there was Tower Records. I lived right up above Tower Records.
Right, that's a weird area.
Yeah, and I had no money, so I was like, I'm not going to go. There's nothing to do. I couldn't
figure out
what to do. So she said, why don't you walk down Melrose? There's a bunch of cool artsy stuff on that street. So I walked down Melrose, and I go into this place called Galaxy Gallery. It was a head shop, all bonds, pipes and stuff. And I had a bunch of art. I had a portfolio, like a little portfolio, and I go and I talk to this guy, and he loved my work. He's like, dude, I want to give you a show.
Wow.
And I'm like, cool, man, that's amazing. I get an art show, and he asked, where are you from? He asked me where I'm from. And I said, oh, I'm from Columbus, Ohio. And he's like, I'm from Columbus. And I'm like, you're from Columbus? No, where are in Columbus? And I say, Gehenna. It's like which means hell in the Bible, by the way. But I'm from Gehenna. And he's like, dude, I'm from Gehenna.
No way.
Like, you're from fucking Gehenna. And I played soccer. I said, did you play soccer? And he says, no, he says, no, I didn't, but my little brother, the co-owner of the store, did. It turns out I played soccer for 1 year when I went to the school for 1 year in the suburb that I moved to my freshman year in high school with his brother. That was the co-owner of the store.
That was what?
And I'd already been accepted for the show and stuff, but
the co-owner. That was
Anthony Crust was a guy I played soccer with.
Yeah, right.
Just randomly. So got my first show.
There's the follow your bliss thing. Doors will open when you're doing the thing, when you're doing your true will.
Right. And I mean, again, you're just kind of crazy when when we do the artist thing and you're in it, but it's nice to be able to reflect on it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that. That's so cool, how stuff opens up like that. So yeah, we ended up having the show, a bunch of big pieces up, and it's kind of funny because this lifestyle followed me into the Hangar, which then kind of went into the Hive for a little bit. But my friends brought up their band from San Diego. We had a band playing, a bunch of stuff. I'm doing the gallery thing in Los Angeles. I have some wine, probably in a Dixie cup, and someone whips out a gun, and show, and I hear pop, 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 a gun.
No
At my
way.
first show in LA. I'm from Ohio. I grew up listening to Boys in the Hood, like the NWA and all this shit. First show in Los Angeles, all of my bias about like, this is how LA is, this gang culture. Well, whips out a gun, shoots a gun at my first show. I dove, didn't spill a drop of the wine. And so,
wow.
first show in LA, a guy whipped out a gun, shot it. He didn't shoot it he shot it out in front of the place, I guess. He'd gotten in a fight with one of my friends that had the band that he was hitting on their sister, and they kicked him out. He went home, got a gun, a little gutter punk kid, like a little dude kind of doing his thing, on the street or whatever, and he whipped out a gun and shot it.
Oh my God.
That happened. I sold a couple of big pieces, and it allowed for me to live for another few years.
So were you doing your sculpture paintings at that point? Had you figured your thing out?
They weren't relief yet, so they were more paintings with rooms in them and doors that you open up.
Like layered paintings with dimension, depth, and stuff. Okay.
And that was that was the first time I did that emoji, that happy face dude. Was this large? It was about a 4 foot by 4 foot square. It was called Sprawl Mart Worldwide. I heard the speaker.
Oh yeah, wow.
And so it was this happy face with these little blue collar workers shooting themselves in the head inside the eyes of the happy face. They were sculpted inside the eyes, and then that just kind of followed me. I really enjoyed using that happy face, which became emojis.
I know, that's what I was gonna say. Is you kind of predicted emojis in a way. It's amazing.
And I just thought it was funny that happy face was on the bags of these Walmart bags, but at the time I was feeling very political about things.
Right.
Once we're moving into small towns and moving out the shoe shiners and the electricians, just moving into small towns and buying out all the homemade jobs for this big Walmart. Yeah. That was one of the first pieces I sold out here. It was a real large one of that. And,
wow. Amazing. Crazy. Wow.
So then I kind of moved in and started showing up here more, and was the first. I'm still living in San Diego. First featured artist at Cannibal Flower.
Okay, wait. What about living in San Diego?
So I was living in that garage in San Diego, working in my buddy's garage on my art.
I thought you were living in West Hollywood.
No, I would come up and crash on my friend's couch.
Okay, so you're...
kind of found this whole Melrose scene. So
okay.
I was on
Okay, I get it.
So I was living down there. I tried to leave. I was going to have to go back to Columbus, and then I got a job down there working in an autistic school. So I tried to leave or whatever because I just wanted to be able to make my stuff. And I kept getting pulled back in. And then I ended up here. I decided to try to learn some 3D animation at Santa Monica, and my buddies let me live in the loading dock. And we'd help put on the art shows, and then I kind of evolved into the Hive Hangar thing.
Okay, so how did the Hive happen?
So the Hive happened...
How does one...
That was 2005.
How does one get a gallery like that? That's pretty amazing, really.
So I was... the Hangar was having some problems.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of things kind of going down there.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so we were having some issues. And I was on my way out. And I put on a big Max show on the roof of a building for the grand opening of the Downtown Art Walk.
Okay.
You were in that show.
Is that the show that was in the in the different rooms in the building, and then my sculpture got left in there?
Oh my God!
Soft spot. Someone could have just.
You had all the paintings.
I took everything except the sculpture, I think. And I for some reason, I thought someone took this sculpture because it was like, I had like a $10,000 price tag on it or something. And I remember maybe talking to LC or someone and them saying, "Oh yeah, it's still in that building." And I was like, "Oh shit." So I just like took off, drove straight down there, and I'm like, go to the building, and it's like empty. Everybody's gone, and then my sculpture's just sitting there in this empty building, and I was like, oh, thank God. Anyway,
on the roof of the parking lot.
Wasn't
I don't remember your sculpture being in that show.
Maybe
because you had a wall of paintings, and the Luke Chu was right next to you.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
We each had a room.
It was like
Muffin Head.
Yeah, right. It was a bunch of different, like, it was a brick building. I remember. I thought, and it was a bunch of different rooms, wasn't it? And you kind of walked through this building with different rooms. I might be confusing it with another one. Maybe.
Yeah, they were all a little mushy at that point.
Okay. Anyway, maybe that did or did not happen. But anyway, it happened at some point.
Dude, that's I can't imagine me like. There's no way.
Yeah, that. It doesn't seem like something you would do, but I think it was probably a Cannibal Flower thing. Now that I think about it, because Cannibal Flower was like,
they would do the one night shows, and that was around the time where Hangar, if they weren't doing it at the Hangar, because the Hangar was kind of trying to basically get back up to like fire. We had to do like a whole re-demo on the whole space and have it pro'd out and stuff.
Right.
At that time, Cannibal Flower probably wasn't happening in the Hangar at that point in time. And so yeah, I did this Max up there, and yeah, it was on the roof of the parking lot next to where I live now. I look at the place all the time.
Oh, wow.
Small. And it had a lot of kind of manufactured ceiling wall. It was an ugly little place.
Right.
Kind of like the offices for the parking lot below.
How did you how did you even get to organize?
That's wild, man. So basically, it's all hitting me right now. So we'd been putting on big shows, and there wasn't a lot happening in LA. There was Cannibal Flower and the Max, and I don't really know much that was happening. Definitely not much going on downtown. There was a guy named Fittipaldi that had an underground spot that I actually only went to one time, way after the fact of all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot. If it was happening, it was super underground.
Right.
So I was kind of known for putting on shows, and I guess some actor or something for the grand opening of the Art Walk. They wanted to have art in all these spaces all over downtown to kind of get it launched. And some dude flaked on the space, which had been donated for the Art Walk, which is the top level of this parking complex. It was the top level, and then an actual little tiny building. So I said, I'll do it. And I just went at it hard, Max style. We had bands. We had Atari 2600 projected on the side of the building.
Amazing.
Had a not Mortal Kombat. I can't think right now. One of those fighting games. We had old school fighting games, and one of the rooms, because I brought like my iComplex guys, all the crazy glitchy electronic dudes, brought some games and stuff in one of the rooms. And then all these little rooms had different people. So we had LC was in one. You were kind of in the main gallery. You and Luke Chu had like kind of walls. Muffin Head, Orion, Vermar. I had a room. Travis Morley.
Oh yeah, Travis Morley.
Yeah.
What a trip! I haven't heard so many of these names in so long.
Yeah. So Muffin Head.
Yeah, Muffin Head. I was just thinking about that guy the other day.
He's a performance sensation in New York.
Right. He's
kind of like Cannibal Flower, I guess, out there.
Oh, really?
He puts on one-night shows and stuff, like fashion.
Yeah, he dresses all insane.
Yeah.
That dude was truly unique.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the, a big show I put on. And then Bert Green, who was really kind of pioneering the Art Walk, said, "Hey, Nathan, there's a space opening up."
Who is this?
This guy named Bert Green.
Oh,
Bert Green used to have a gallery across the street from La Luz de Jesus.
Yeah, he's a big name, kind of, right? Isn't he kind of a big name in the art world?
Like now he has a gallery.
Yeah, in the legit art world, kind of.
Yeah, he's a legit art world guy. And for real, quote unquote.
Yeah.
He's in Chicago now. He's got a gallery.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he said the space was opening up, and there was this girl Mila and Angelina had a gallery there. They were having trouble kind of holding it down. I joined up with Mila to start out, and just kind of basically built the model from ground up. And she had a child within that first year and kind of moved out of the scene. But yeah, I'd already kind of had it hitting hardcore right in that first year. Just bringing all of us in to the gallery downtown and having the studios, and I was roughing it.
Yep.
I was still living pretty crazy style for quite a few years.
Yes, I know.
I'm loving it though, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm down to do it now, man. I'm down to do it. And I mean, I do what I got to do to make art. So that's how the Hive was created. It was natural. Everything's natural for me. I mean, I think I'm very Taoist to kind of go with the flow and try to be intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
How things change. And,
well, not only that is you put yourself in the center. You searched, you found where you want to be, and you put yourself in the middle of it, and then you were willing to take opportunities that came your way. You know what I mean? You know, you were willing to do the work. You were willing to do whatever it took to make it happen. You were like, "Fuck it, I'll do it." You know, and just dive right in. And this is how success happens. You know, I think.
Well, you know, you don't have a choice if you really want to do it. You know, if you want to be creative, you gotta put on your armor and hurt and battle, man. And don't complain.
Exactly.
That's like the worst. That's like the biggest downfall.
Well, you can complain.
Try to keep your vices at a minimum if possible, because those will devour you.
Right.
And stop complaining and just do shit.
Save your complaining for all your art friends you guys could go. You go have lunch with your artist friends and you complain to them, but don't be a pain in the ass to everybody else. You know, around you. Be easy to work with. You know, you've always been super positive. Never seen you wig out. Never seen you be an asshole. Always just been very positive and upbeat. And, you know, I think it's gotten you pretty far. You know? It's pretty amazing.
I feel lucky. You know, I'm lucky.
Yeah, but again, you know, there's maybe a certain amount of that, but there's also, like I said, the willingness to do what it takes, which, you know, a lot of people don't have, or, you know, I know a lot of people that just kind of want it given to them, sort of, you know, and it's like you have to bust your ass and live in a loading dock, or, you know, whatever it takes to make it happen. You know, drive down during lunch hours. That's what I used to do. I drive my paintings down to Cannibal Flower from Burbank or Glendale, where the Rick's shop was, or whatever. Tear my ass down to downtown LA, drop my painting off, and then drive back. Try and do it within an hour. Oh my God!
Remember you showing up?
Yeah.
Come on, man. And drop them off.
Yeah. You got to be committed. You got to do what it takes, you know?
Yeah, don't feel entitled. That's we're at entitled age right now, where it's not going to, I mean, it's going to work in the immediate, but it's not going to pay off in the end. You know, you gotta just know that you got to work your ass off and you got to fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is like kind of like a battle. You always had a Dungeons and Dragons approach as well.
Oh yeah,
like a sword.
I'm in it, man. We're working on a game. I'm bringing back the Hive Land idea. I decided that making a book might not be, you know, I don't know how feasible that is financially. I play Magic the Gathering. And so we're trying to pull it back and create a game. So I'm working with some buddies. We've actually created the base of it.
Oh, cool.
Trading cards. The artist will be the trading card with their name.
Oh, yeah. You were talking about that for a while.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Guide to the Denizens of Hiveland. That was started right at the beginning, but I couldn't figure out how to make the book. And then I was like, not much money because I was poor. And so I just kind of faded for a while, but we're bringing it back into a game that you play.
That's great.
Play with the artists. You play with artists and the artist avatar.
That's so cool. Amazing. I remember.
You're in there. You're one of the characters.
Cool. I can't wait to see what that is. I I remember seeing, I think, the biggest rats I've ever seen. Now the biggest the biggest rats I've ever seen, I think, were in New York. I saw a rat. We were down at a wharf, and it was like swimming in the water, and we were like, "Is that an otter?" It was so big. It was like, "Oh shit, it's a rat."
Oh man!
But
you got a lot of food there.
Yeah.
Feeding.
But I remember being in the early days down at the Hive across the street, just seeing this big ass rat run across the street.
Well, they died in our kitchen many times. One rotted in the oven. In the inner, somehow it literally pushed it in probably a millimeter. It's impossible how this thing crushed itself inside the inner workings of this oven thing.
Amazing.
And basically they melt. And just the smell for weeks. We finally got in there and got it out as it was melting. And it was brutal, man. That happened all the time. These horrible rat deaths.
It's gotten so much nicer down there, though. Now in downtown, I don't know how. You're on Spring and 7th, right?
Spring between 7th and 8th.
Spring between 7th and 8th. I mean, that whole downtown area is kind of amazing what they've done to it. I don't know how your area is doing.
It's awesome. I mean, I think Spring Street's a really cool street, but it has, what I love about it is it still has all that old flavor.
Right.
Like when I walk Bacon, there's a bunch of rats rustling in the trash cans.
Oh, really?
Okay. Take Bacon down the alley. I got my buddies that are smoking the crack. They know Bacon. This one dude, when I just got back from the holidays, this guy's like, hey, Bacon, come over here. We come over. He's like, hey, I got something for you guys. Disappears. I'm sitting with Bacon on the collar. I'm waiting. It's like a few minutes go by. I'm like, Bacon, are we really doing this? Are we waiting for my friend here that he probably went off and doing whatever he does? He comes back within the minute, and he gave us about $50 worth of pet treats.
Oh, how cool!
Off really good bones and stuff.
Amazing.
Like that. And so these are my friends. These are the people in my neighborhood. But for most people, it is not cool. I'm seeing people come and go real fast. They move in. They want to have that New York life, but they're not willing. Again, they feel entitled to have their city life, but you got to wade through the shit, the rats, the homeless, the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
That's part of it. It's the
right.
sweet stuff. So it still has that, but the buildings are looking nicer.
Yeah, right.
Taller and nicer. We'll just say that.
Yeah, the architecture down there is just amazing. I just love those old buildings. They're so cool. It's so downtown LA is a trip, man. It's so different from anywhere. I mean, anywhere else in LA, really. But yeah, what you lived in the Hive for a while, right?
I may have.
No, I'm sorry. You didn't live in the Hive. You may have lived in the Hive.
There's a rumor.
There's a rumor.
Like a legend of the sleepy ghost of the Hive.
But you are definitely in a different living space right now, correct?
Yeah, I am. But I'm just right a block up the street.
Yeah.
I've kind of. So
It looks really
survived
nice. It looks
for a
awesome.
while, and then I moved up in the lofts up above the Hive for many years.
Right.
And moved out of that, and I just live a block up the street still.
It looks really cool. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you will get to see Nathan's really cool living area, or at least part of it.
Yes, part of it.
I've
always see my movie collection there.
Yeah.
Art. There's a Chet Zar up in the corner up there, and
Yeah.
Amanda Sage portrait right next to it.
Yeah, you got a pretty good collection, man. So, okay, well, give me a few, or just at least one or two crazy LA stories, like crazy things that you've seen. Because
one's great. This is a great one of just the old school LA. So my buddy Orion and I, this is when we were just starting in the Hive, and they were always trying to do promo things to get people to come downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And and I was a gallerist, so of course, I get cool perks or whatever. So there was this. I don't know if you've ever been to the Los Angeles Theater, but it is insane, and it's closed, and they only do shows here and there. I did go see a really, really great kind of industrial show there that it was like what do they call it? Not Bar Sinister, but something where there's a bunch of different bands. And Health played there that I love, a bunch of others. So, anyways, it's an epic theater with these huge sculpted people and little sculptures coming out of their head, and a huge inspiration for this Hiveland installation I've been doing in my gallery. At the LA Theater, there was this choose your own adventure theater experience where we went and go into the theater, and it's the story of this woman's life. And then Orion and I went our separate ways, and you can follow different parts of the story, like a choose your own adventure, which I loved choose your own adventure books as a kid. I went into the kitchen. They actually had a part where you go to Morocco and you get in a bus, and the bus takes you down the alley, and they made the alley look like Morocco.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. It was one of the coolest things ever. And free drinks and everything. You're drinking champagne and walking around and following all these scenarios. And then we all end up back in the main theater, which is the most epic theater I've ever seen, honestly. With all these sculptures, I mean, it blow you. It's so up your alley.
Right.
I end up in there. This girl strips naked. It's like we're all in the theater. We all end in the theater, and then there's like this whole nude thing where she just gets naked and walks down the center aisle past us all, and that's their big shebang, and that's the end of the play.
Okay.
So Orion and I were like, dude, that was pretty crazy. We're kind of talking as we're leaving, and we exit the building, and there's all these nice cars pulling up to try to get these people from the west side and out of downtown LA. And walking down the center of Broadway is this big professional wrestler looking dude. He looked like Debo from Friday, the dude with the lazy eye.
Uh-huh.
Dude, there was this guy walking down the center of the street within like 100 feet from us, coming right at us, buck naked, blood pouring down his inner leg.
Oh my God.
I don't know where the hell it was coming from.
Oh God.
Comes right up to us. And it was wild, man. I mean, because we just had this crazy theater experience. We leave the building, and then we're in the real world, and there's this nude mega dude. Like, the dude's pecs you can see way down the street, walking down the street. His feet are like boom, boom, like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Blood pouring down his inner leg. And all these people are fleeing to their cars, and he comes right up to us, looks at us, and then slowly passes by.
Wow. And just kept going?
Just kept going. Ends up, like, further down, and then there's all these people, maybe parking attendants, trying to throw the guy blankets to cover himself up. It's just like a normal, weird, wild thing.
That is pretty crazy. That sounds like something that might happen in downtown LA in the middle of the night.
Yeah. These are things I love. There's a lot more quiet, and the oddness of it was there weren't a lot of people downtown at that point in time.
Right.
Just us at this nice theater that they made that theater. They cleaned it up so we could be wowed,
Right.
out of it, and we have a real reality of the downtown world.
Yeah, you get the grand finale, and then you get the grand reality.
We got a double grand finale. We got a double grand.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I always wanted to live in a loft down there, but I was never able to make it happen. I almost did. I was about to rent one when I was, 17 or 18, and somehow it fell through. But I always regretted that I couldn't have that experience. But Now I could do it vicariously through you and your stories.
It's funny, the people that, like, the Kyoto brothers, I think, said they had a place down here, and I think Danny Elfman, like, people that have come in and they're like, yeah, I used to have a loft just down the street, and they're saying they had a loft in the 80s.
Right.
It
used to be pretty cheap in the 80s.
Times crazier.
Yeah, and crazier. Yeah, totally. I mean, it must have been 1986 or 85 when I was gonna maybe do it with like 2 other people.
Oh, that was, I heard it was the stereotypical, like all those old movies from the 80s and 90s where, they got the cans with the fire in them everywhere.
Yeah.
I heard it was everywhere. In the middle of the streets, like in the middle of main streets, dudes had like fires and cans.
Do you remember that one time me and you were driving around and I was like, take me down the scariest street in LA? And you're like, oh yeah, I know what that is. And it was Skid Row, I think.
Yeah, we went right through in the middle of the night.
Oh my God, that was like...
We had to go, it was like being in a parade. We had to go at parade speed because there were so many crackheads and stuff, crazy...
It was like
things going on, like...
for an entire block, it was like, all of a sudden it became Night of the Living Dead for a block. And then it was like you're in regular reality, and then you see it coming, and then you're in it, and there's like... trash can. There was a trash can with fire coming out, and just people like wandering like zombies in the street. It was insane. It was like
couldn't go fast. We had to go slow because there's people all over the front of the car.
It was so scary, man. As soon as like we got halfway through, I was like, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. I'm all locking the doors.
I didn't even trigger on I'm just like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing, it is scary and crazy down there, but as a siren goes by, it is it's crazy and scary, but it seems like if you enter those situations with like, I don't know, like a certain kind of confidence or a lack of fear, not a lack of fear that's dumb where you get into a dangerous situation, but if you go in there and just kind of, have a certain presence about you, it's like you don't really get messed with. You can kind of walk through that stuff, and it's like people leave you alone generally. I think if you show fear or show like you're freaked out, that's when weirdos come out and take advantage or try and rob you or something. But
you vacuum it towards you, man. You just suck it in. I say it's like working with woodworking equipment. It's super healthy to have a base level of fear. You need to be aware of what the
absolutely
where you're at. I mean, I'm always like have that base, like the animal thing is in high gear, but I don't think about that. That's more just being very aware, heightened awareness. So, and that's what I love about LA is the heightened awareness. I'm always heightened wherever I go at all times. I'm always kind of on that heightened awareness, but it's not a fear. It's like more like the base fear. It's like the animal, caveman shit. You got that going on. That way you don't, if you're cutting wood and you got that base fear, you remember that you're cutting wood. You don't get lazy.
Right.
Took your finger off. You gotta have that base fear. You gotta be aware of what you're doing. That's healthy. But mind fear is a whole different thing, man. People come in and they're already judging. You're judging people.
Totally.
And that's the problem.
People sense it. People sense it too. If you're, I just found that you can kind of intermingle with all different types of people if you just don't really have an attitude like that, an attitude of fear or judgment, or you just kind of, I don't know. Seems like that to me.
Yeah. I recently had a couple crazy aggro situations.
Okay. Well,
I had a dude just going crazy. It's different when they're already at level 11 and they're coming at you.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things that a person who's aware of the surroundings would notice instantly and avoid it. That's a totally different trip.
I've had that happen a couple times recently.
So what happened?
It never happens usually, but one guy trying to get into the gallery, yelling about how he'll take his movies. There's a bunch of movies being filmed downtown on Saturday during this opening. We were just getting set up, and so dude is flipping out. He's slamming his hand on the glass of my front And I'm like, oh shit, all right. And I got two of my female workers in the front, and I was just getting ready to leave to go get ready for the show. So I come up, I kind of block the door, but I realize I look at him, and you know, I've learned it's like a dog. You don't want to look at a pissed off dog in the eyes.
Right.
That's not exist. You're gonna get hit. I don't want to look him in the eyes because I don't want to have to get in a fight right now. So,
Right.
but I looked at the dude in the eyes because I wanted him to get the hell out of there, and so he starts flipping out anymore. I'm trying to kind of lock the door. I'm having trouble getting it locked, so I kind of leave it. I leave him. I turn my back to him. I kind of try to dissolve the anger.
Uh-huh.
But he's just yelling about they won't take my movie and the vagina of Ellen DeGeneres. You know, it's all kind of crazy shit. Like, it's going nuts. This is all going off.
Wow.
And, you know, those are different experiences. So trying to come to terms with how it's hard to deal with those because.
But he didn't kill you.
He didn't kill me.
So
he didn't kill me. He didn't damage anything.
And you did have.
I was able to get him out.
Right.
Without touching him, without having to do anything.
Oh, he was in.
That's the thing. Like, you cannot get mad. He actually got. So then he kind of entered into the gallery.
Oh my God.
That's where I actually got worried because I was like, now he's in.
Right.
How do I get him out? So, you know, it's kind of a magic.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you got to use
those situations.
You got to use the force. It's one of those situations where you got to use the force. You got to just kind of like somehow, when the time comes, you kind of know if you're intuitive. I think you know how to handle it. You do anyway. Especially
looking at the ladies, I kept saying, just do not look at this dude. Just let him go through his course.
Yeah, he's like having a psychotic.
Yeah, if he started to touch stuff, then I would have to, I would have to do something.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Tricky. Right, yeah.
A little bit of a waltz, because it's all about that level 11. You could see that the dude's face was all red. He's a white dude. His face was completely red.
Right.
Already at the door.
So if you just
come into the gallery,
if you just touched him on the arm, he probably would have wigged out, and that would have caused. He probably would have kicked your ass or attacked you or something, and you would have had to fight him. But if you can just kind of like maintain that kind of energy.
Yep. Don't look at him in the face at all. No eye contact. That's the thing. Like, you look at someone in the eyes, and they really can.
I did that one time. One time, it was weird, man. It was during my weird spiritual awakening period of 1987. I was driving my Corvair, this cool old Corvair I had. Me and Lisa were driving, and we got lost. It was weird, man. It was just like a total weird vibe day. Like, you could tell something was going on. There was like the air was, you could just feel it. And it's getting to be dusk. We're in this part of, it was like maybe Silver Lake and Silver Lake-ish area, which was, in 87 was pretty bad. At least this part was, I think. And we're driving. We don't know where we are. This is the days before GPS and cell phones and all that stuff. And the car runs out of gas. And it's just getting to be dusk. And it's like, it's a kind of a scary part of town. And I get out of the car, and we have to go call someone at a payphone or something. And we don't know where the hell we are. And there's a guy standing there with like sunglasses on, kind of shady looking guy. And he goes, you want to buy some crack or something? And I said, what? I honestly didn't understand him. And I did the thing. I looked him in the eye and I said, what? Like, it was a genuine, like, I didn't hear what you said. And he just looked at me and he goes, whack. And he like tried to hit me on the side, like slap me, I guess. It was like his open hand. And I like backed up, and he like kind of just barely tapped my head, and then he just took off running. It was so weird. It was totally weird. But it was like that moment was going to happen one way or another. I could just feel it. The whole drive we were driving, there was like this weird, something bad is going to happen.
Smell it, man.
You can
smell it somehow.
Yeah, it was weird. Anyway,
It happens. It's happened only a few times to me, but when it does happen, it sucks because now you're in it.
Yeah, right.
You're definitely locked and loaded. You're in it.
And how you handle the next.
I'm not a fighter. I don't want to have to punch someone.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Definitely wrestle someone down. I don't want to have to use my knuckles that I paint with and sculpt with and have to punch someone.
Yeah.
I still don't have to do that.
It's not fun. I wouldn't think it would be a fun thing, but some people like to fight. But
I hear that outside of my window quite a bit. You were asking about crazy. There was a crazy Melee fight that happened here right before the holidays.
What's that? What's a what fight?
Full on Melee.
What?
Like people coming from all angles.
Oh, okay.
I'm at the balcony right on the corner of 4th and 6th and Spring.
Okay.
There were two guys getting ready to cross the street, and a car turned left in front of them, and the guys in the car must have yelled at the dudes trying to cross it. The guys trying to cross the street were big dudes.
Uh-huh.
There was some altercation that happened. The guys in the car literally stopped their car in the middle of 6th Street. This was at like 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, and jump out. And they're smaller guys, like little Armenian dudes, like, but they're pumped and they're ready. And those small dudes knew how to fight. And so the big guys go out in the middle of the street. Little dude takes out the big guy in one punch, jumps on top of him like an MMA fighter.
Wow.
Is just destroying this big guy. Other big guy comes in, tackles him. A couple other dudes from the street jump in. Other guy comes out of the car, another small dude that could fight. And then out of nowhere, there's some kind of machete.
Oh, my God.
Some kind of big-ass knife. And it blew me away. It was like a shock.
So you're up here watching this whole thing?
I'm watching it from my balcony. Because I'm watching my horror movies. That's pretty much all I watch these days. Laying down watching something. When you hear it, you hear it. So it's like I'm called to view, And I see this thing get picked up over by the trash can. I think they brought it out of the car, maybe. I don't know. And there's this thing that's shiny, and I was like, man, is he got like a piece of metal he got out of the trash can or something? And then I realized that is a long knife.
Oh,
and
my
he's
God.
on it. And something happened, man. I saw someone get hit. I mean, someone got kind of hit a little bit on the side of their face.
Oh, my God.
Stops. People are going down, and then everything scatters. Once the knife was out, everything scattered. So, downtown, baby. The cops did not even stop the car that had been stopped in the middle of the road with the dudes with the knife. They let those guys go. There's people yelling from all their balconies saying, arrest them, arrest them. I'm just sitting back like, oh, dude. And I think in the end they probably got the guys because they were all on camera.
Right. Wow. Well, that's a good one. And that was recent.
Recently, yeah.
Wow. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. Because
let's go.
I want to get to, I want to talk about your artwork. So yeah, for people who don't know, we'll have a picture. You have to send me a picture of a good piece that represents you for the promo card and stuff. But Nathan's work is these amazing sculptures that are they've always felt like cross between a painting and a sculpture to me. Like a really, they're kind of like sort of in a painting format, but they have a lot of different layers and different levels to them, and little doors you can open, and all kinds of stuff going on, all kinds of characters, and painted really nicely, and really, really cool stuff. How did you get to that? How did you end up doing that? Because it's so different. It's such a different kind of art. And these are all one-offs too. It's not like you're molding stuff. It's like they only exist as one piece. It's not like you're doing molds and casts, right?
Yeah, there's no molds. I was a drawer that started painting, and I had some really great professors that told me that drawing could be anything now, like in the modern world or whatever. It could be anything. There could be sculpture on it or things on it and stuff. So in college, I started, and I was actually a graphic design major, so I wasn't a fine art major.
I didn't know that.
But I was a pre-vet art education.
Wow.
Pre-vet my freshman year, art education, then I ended up, settling with graphic design. And in graphic design, I got to take a lot of art classes. So I started experimenting with like using mat board and cardboard and sculptural items and mixed media items. I really like the idea. I used to, when I was a kid, we'd have these little advent calendars that just...
Yeah, I used to love those. We used to have those too.
Right?
They're so fun.
So every year I couldn't wait. It was like Hallmark would make a new one every year. You could interact with these things. And I love that feeling. That's the feeling that I'm in love with that feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
Discovery, like opening up a treasure chest, Dungeons and Dragons, what's inside.
Right.
So right away I was experimenting with this idea of interaction. Opening up doors and creating pieces that you could interact with and open up and look inside. I hadn't even thought about sculpting. I was using junk and all kinds of stuff and really mixed media, mixed media painting.
Right.
When I was in this AmeriCorps thing years ago, that was when I was 24. We had to take little classes. This woman taught bead making with Sculpey. And I was like,
yeah.
Beads out of this stuff, and I'm going to take that class.
I remember that.
Make beads. I don't want to make beads. I want to try to sculpt it.
Right.
And stuff. So sat down with her, and I right away started sculpting these little people, and instantly fell in love with it. And I wasn't even painting them at the time. I was just using the pure color and sculpting figures.
Oh wow!
So fell in love with the sculpture, but I've been drawing ever since I was tiny. I mean, graph paper.
Art kid.
I grew up with Mike Doherty. Mike Doherty and I were drawing ever since we were kids. He just did the new Godzilla movie. That's his new movie. It's funny that
What did he do?
Mike Doherty. He did the movie Trick or Treat. That's one of his movies, and his latest movie is Godzilla King of Monsters.
Wow, really? Director?
Yeah, he's directing now. He started out here writing. He went to NYU. Anyways, like him and me, and there was one other artist, we would just always be drawing. But usually Mike Doherty and I were like kind of the best drawers, I guess.
Yeah, the art kids.
So we just draw and up each other, up each other's game. And so that's what I love. That's kind of my natural talent would be to kind of create with pen and ideas and things like that. And sculpture I fell in love with. And so I started sculpting inside the rooms, inside the pieces. And then I kind of, Bacon, you're really getting in here, dude.
Yeah.
Squeeze in there, push me out of the way. So I realized I love sculpting, but I don't like sculpting all the way around. I just felt like it was extra material. And I like telling stories. I like the more narrative aspect of art. Mythology. I'm into archetypes and symbolism and things like that. And it was a lot harder for me if I was going to sculpt a thing. I couldn't talk like that. I would have to sculpt a thing.
Right.
So I started sculpting flatter and flatter onto these larger canvases and just again natural process on how that happened. Figured out a way to use Super Sculpey and Magic Sculpt and wood relief, and it's kind of a natural thing that happened.
Wow. So, well, when do you think that? At what point in your career did you, like we talked about my thing with the portraits came around, 2005, a few years after I'd been messing around. How long did it take you to kind of come up with this thing? Because you've been doing it, like as long as I've known you, you've had your thing,
Yeah. I'm thinking about Monica and Brian. They bought this. I had this collie snake kind of eating this rabbit. And stuffing in the rabbit was pouring out.
I remember that. Of course. How could I forget that one?
The rabbit's holding the document about how to sell art. Big eyed, cute animals that are sad, whatever. Yeah, I had like a whole list of ways to, and then this Kali, this wrathful deity, had just killed this cute rabbit with the stuffing coming out. So that was still 3D, but that was a piece that could hang on the wall.
Right.
Then I think it's strange how that works. I might have done a piece. I think I did another rabbit piece using like these lids of like kills, and then that became a frame, and I didn't have to sculpt the back of the rabbit, so I kind of become flatter.
Mm-hmm.
And then just got more and more flat, but sculpted.
Right.
So that was probably in like 2007, 8 maybe, when it got flat, and then that's really become the whole thing, is try to get as sculptural as possible with the least amount of depth.
Right.
Figure out how to put in the lights, and stuff like that. With LED lights, it's a lot easier. Back in the day, I used to have to use a bulb.
Oh yeah, I bet you're so. I bet you're so happy now with all the easy LED stuff you can get on Amazon. There's so much cool stuff you can get now, like those strips of lighting, and it's piece of cake. Yeah, it's
so good, and it allows me to still be sculptural, but have it be flat to the wall. It just seemed easier to sell stuff flatter to the wall.
Exactly. Yeah, just the fact that you can hang it, that's a huge advantage to most sculptors, because sculpture is hard to sell, and I think part of it is because it takes up space. It's
they don't know where to put it in their house. They don't know what do you have, a sculpture stand in your
house?
Right,
exactly.
Special kind of house to have sculpture. You got to have a big house. You got to have a lot of room to be able to have things that you can move around. I mean, it wasn't about sales. It was just really about me being able to do the kind of pieces I wanted to do and tell the kind of stories I wanted.
Right.
To be able to be more flat, I could get more tripped out with what I wanted to say, I guess, and kind of really delve in. And it became quicker. Having to sculpt all the way around the back.
Yep.
All the time. And no one looks at the back that much.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Akihita or like Kazu or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, they have stuff on the back that's epic. So you got to walk around the whole piece. But,
right.
Yeah, I just kind of was a gradual progression again, but made sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, he's snoring. That's not my. I don't know if you can pick up him snoring.
Let me see. Don't say anything. Let me listen.
Hear that?
I got the first one. I got one snore in. That.
There you go. Yeah.
That used to be a feature on the podcast when Doc was alive, because Doc died not that long ago, a few months ago, but he would come in and you'd hear him snoring all the time.
Probably has a much louder snore than Bacon.
I don't know, man. The pitties are the bullies are they all seem to snore pretty loudly.
Well, Bacon has the lips, so when he exhales, he does the very human
yeah.
A flap. So it actually sounds like a human snoring.
See, I think these kinds of dogs are, they're the best for many different reasons, but one great benefit to having a pit bull or a bully breed is that they're super sweet, super loyal, very strong. So if anyone was to attack you, they would tear their face off, because they will defend their owners for sure. But generally, they are the sweetest dogs, but people are afraid of them. So when you go and walk your pit bull, people leave you alone. So it's like you avoid the whole confrontation in the first place, because no one wants to fuck with a pit bull.
Yeah, I say it's like the old woman, young woman drawing, that psychological drawing.
Yeah.
Like people like me, when I saw Bacon, I saw the beautiful young one. I saw this cute, I was like, what the hell is that thing? But then a lot of the thugs, tough dudes, will see this really mean looking dog. At some point, you're like, dude, that's a cool dog, but I don't want to go near it.
Yeah.
They want. can I pet him? And then they double take to me. Well, I'm not going to pet him.
Right.
But that's a cool dog. You know,
he has like,
I had no idea.
His head is like a box. It's so funny. He
Yeah.
literally, it's like a block. It's like a square. It's amazing. I love that. I love
His
that.
head and his neck is bigger than mine.
Yeah.
All the muscle. Half of the 50 pounds, I think, are in his head and his neck. And
Yeah. Baby girl got up to, I think the last time we weighed her, she was 70 pounds or something. So we had to put her on a diet. So she's trim now. She's getting back to her fighting weight. Not fighting weight, but you know what I mean. But she still weighs a ton. But anyway, that beside the point. So okay, here's another thing I wanted to ask you about. How you seem to handle the dual position of being an artist and being a curator and a gallery owner. You handle it very well, but I don't think everyone could handle that so well. I mean, it seems like, you know, artists are generally very, you know, all about their own work, and being a gallerist is all about other people's work and like promoting other people's artwork. So I don't know. Did you find that difficult, or did you find like you were, you know, were those two parts of yourself kind of like in conflict at all? Because I wonder about that, because it's like, you know, you want to promote yourself, but you want to promote your gallery and your other artists, and you know what I'm saying?
Well,
it's got to be hard
so
if one's overshadowing the other. Is like, I guess what I'm saying, you know?
yeah, I mean, the cool part about my job is that I don't need. I like to. So there's plenty of art galleries in LA. There's plenty of opportunities for people to show,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't show artists necessarily because they're going to sell. I show artists because I love the work and I want to work with the person.
Mm-hmm.
So, because there's plenty of other places for someone with attitude and ego to go show and sell their work for tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
I would rather work with someone because I'm not in a situation where I just need to sell just to survive. Because it's not just a gallery. I got a bigger network.
Right. That must give you a lot of freedom. The fact that I'm sure
freedom to not have to deal with bullshit.
Yeah, because you're paying the rent from the sub-rental studio spaces,
as well as the opening and
right.
the art. So I get a lot of different things. That's not like I'm not gonna starve if I don't show this big name artist. That's
right.
I don't even want to deal with it because I'm more interested in the art community aspect.
Yeah. That's one thing about the Hive. The Hive is very, very much about community. It seems like more than most galleries, I think.
Yeah, because as an artist, I need to have some kind of nest and nurturing environment, and so does everyone else. So I'm trying to provide a nurturing environment for people. Because it's a special life to say, I'm going to do art. I could do a lot of different shit. And all these artists, you know, I mean, they're following it in one way or the other. So by giving a nurturing environment, I think it helps everyone.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't have to deal with the bullshit. So that's not even in the equation, because if someone's a weenie, I'm not going to deal with them. I mean, I showed them,
right.
And I have to show them again. You know, it's like, there's no point.
Right.
Unless they made me so much money that I'm like, Mr. Smithers.
No, well, I'm more thinking about. I mean, yeah, definitely. You're serving.
I don't deal with the egos. I don't deal with the egos. My ego. I try to be as humble as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a great position because I have some level of skill. I mean, there's a lot of probably gallery owners that are artists, but maybe they don't. You know, they're artists, but are they really? You know,
right?
I mean, I've been doing this ever since I was a kid, like tiny, like the smallest, like my family knows, like ever since I was a kid. Graph paper with the little lines. And the dot matrix printer paper we'd be drawing on. You know?
Yeah.
Literally who I am for real. Like we popped out this way. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if I was a gallery owner and not an artist, then it's really easy for artists who are, very idealized generally. You're going to say, oh, that guy's a dick. He's such a businessman. He's such an asshole, blah, blah, blah. But most artists are at least going to be able, they know that I'm an artist and I have some level of skill. So it's not like, it just gives me a little bit of protection because I'm an artist and a businessman.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Again, they can't point a finger that I can't be, what do you call it? Pigeonholed. I can't be put into that category of just being like a greedy businessman.
Right.
Because I'm an artist and they know it. So it's like I have to deal with the same thing that they deal with.
Right.
It makes me sensitive to it. And if they feel like I'm not being sensitive to it, still I'm an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps a lot.
Yeah, that's another thing that I've always noticed with you is that you and I know you know this. So many artists are hung up about money and how selling out and all this stuff I think is kind of bullshit, really, personally, because I think artists should strive to make as much money as possible. That doesn't mean sell out your ideals, but you should, as an artist, you want to make money because so you can create whatever you want and beautify the world and make the world a better place with your artwork and help people
create your own world.
Yeah,
create your own world, man. And money has to be in the occasion.
Yeah. And you've never been one of those people. You've always been like practical when it comes to money and when it comes to art sales. You know how it is. It's like you just want when someone's interested in a piece and you have to sell it to them kind of, and you might give them a deal and just all this business stuff that so many artists shy away from. But you've always had a good balance with that. Like it never seemed like you never seemed hung up on that. And I noticed it because I'm not hung up on it either. Like I'm not like money's bad, money's evil, you shouldn't make money with your art. It's beyond that and all that sort of thing. And I feel like, that's why I noticed it. I've always noticed that about you, is that you have that healthy balance of artist and entrepreneurship, I guess is the word maybe. So I don't really know what question I was asking, but I just was saying
that just kicks in when you're doing it, because like it's so funny. I remember being in school and being idealistic. And my school was a big business school. I went to Miami University of Ohio, and there's like a really great business school there. And then the artists were in their own tiny little area.
Right.
And I like, fuck businessmen. It was so idealistic.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is every person at the Hive, or just showing in an art show, period, all these things are just a huge value. It's just advertising in general, having your art up in a gallery, on a wall, next to other people that are artists. That's advertising.
Right.
You pay thousands of dollars to advertise in a magazine. These artists are getting advertised for free, in a way. And all these things are really important. So whether they know it or not, they are participating in a value system.
Well, beyond everything everybody does is you're in the system. This is the system we got. You either work with it or you don't.
You either work for yourself,
right,
your own system, or you work for someone else's system. And I do tell artists, though, I just told someone the other night, so take it easy, don't go crazy, don't quit your job, work a job that's just creative enough that it just wets your palate so you can go home and make shit. I worked at Michael's Arts and Crafts for like 6 years. I was a framer. I was around the art materials. I would frame shitty Thomas Kincaid prints, but I would get to look at color and think about frames. And I would get cool stuff. I would get frames and all kinds of cool stuff that I could go home and use. And I would go home and hit it hard because I'd be ready to make it. Don't work for Disney. Don't work for something that's going to suck it out of you.
Right, exactly.
Work a job that can just give you enough so you can maybe get some benefits.
Yep.
That you pay the base bills, and then make shit like crazy, man. Be a ruthless gangster. Go crazy. Make it like crazy and get in it.
Absolutely. I think that's good advice. It's funny, and it's weird because I said this to the last guest also, is that the last few guests, this has come up just randomly about artists having a day job. It's like a theme. I swear, like big chunks of the show end up being theme. There's always a running theme somehow, like magically. But that's been what's been coming up lately is the idea of artists having, it's okay to have a day job. It's okay to have like a small job that brings in just enough to allow you to keep creating your work. And
just do what you have to do to be able to make the work that you want to make.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And it's fine, and things happen naturally. And a lot of artists don't even know what they're doing yet. I mean, this is a long process. I mean, with you'd already been doing this shit for decades. I mean, at 35, 37, 38, whenever it clicked, that's a lot of like mastery. You're already a master in one aspect. It takes a long time, and you're still evolving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always. It goes on.
That's what's so cool about it. Is like, but some things work, and you find something that works, and you kind of groove with that, and you just keep being open, getting better, defining yourself, and so don't just quit everything right now just because you just decided that you're an artist. Oh, we're all artists. We've all been doing it for a long time. Put yourself in a situation where you can go crazy as possible and be able to do whatever the fuck you want. Right. Then everything happens in the right time, and that's where you find your voice. I mean, the hardest, everyone's got skill in the scene. How do you find your voice? The voice.
That's the hard part, yeah.
So that takes time.
And that's the thing that can't be taught either. That's like
it can be rushed, and it can't be taught.
Yeah, yeah.
Happen.
It just takes time. Time and creating work is the only thing that is going to, allow you to find your voice. And there's no cheating it or faking it or no shortcuts to that. Some people happen upon their voice. Some people luck out and get it right away, find it right away. But most people, it takes years, years, literally years. And, so people need to know that going into it. But the one thing I want to get back to one thing, and then I want to ask you one more question because it's getting near the end of the podcast. But so how do you balance? How do you feel about balancing your work versus the gallery? Like, do you prioritize one over the other, or are you able to kind of like? Because that seems difficult to me. Like, I know. I've got I've got this podcast, which is kind of separate from my artwork. And then I've got my art, and I know I have trouble, or I don't have trouble. I just know that it's not easy to do two different things like that,
Yeah, I think it really is a time management, and that is kind of a nerdy thing. Mm-hmm. It's like really being nerdy about my time and knowing when to say when with the business is really important.
Yeah, because you could do that every hour of every day. The business part.
Thing. So I've been really. I had my first feature in a while at BG last October to November, and that took me 2 years to do that. I mean, because it was supposed to be 2 years ago, and I was just starting, and then some of the pieces I made were selling, and I'm like, holy shit! I mean, how am I gonna make enough pieces to do a show? So that helped me a lot, putting yourself into shows and things like that, putting yourself in uncomfortable, having to drive to the middle of downtown in the middle of the night to pick up, putting myself in uncomfortable positions or accepting a featured show definitely taught me a lot. So
right.
I've really been turning off my days that I have off. The Hive's open Wednesday through Saturday. And then I'm really trying to turn off my phone, put it on airplane mode Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, especially when I'm in deep creation mode.
Right.
I lose 2 months a year. I lost December because I go away for the holidays. And, my first 2 weeks of every month are all business. Then I get the last half of the month to make art and do the things I want to do. That's basic. So I know that every month I have 2 weeks of work that I can work. And it also has to be after gallery hours. So just nerding it out, knowing when I can turn off, knowing that there's always an artist forgetting the work or something or other, and I'm always getting calls at weird hours any day or night of the week.
Yep.
Dude, they know the rules. They've read the shit. They read the contract. They know. I'm just not going to answer it. Like, I stopped answering. I stopped being so nice. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just stopped being nice because it goes on and on forever.
Right.
And,
yeah.
So just being hard, a little bit harder about stuff, and being really solid about my time.
Right.
These are the times I have to do shit.
That's cool. Yeah, that makes sense. It's more of a time.
It's just super being strict about how I section out my time.
Yeah, discipline. Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's a good explanation. All right. Finally, what do you think about? This is a constant topic of discussion on the podcast and just in general in the art world with the popularity of social media, how galleries have been suffering because of that. Because of social media and artists selling directly to buyers and not going through galleries. I've always been, you know me, I sell direct and I sell my prints. I have all these, I'm doing what I have to do to make ends meet. But I also sell through galleries. I do gallery shows because I think it's important. Like that 50% or whatever you give up is worth it, because showing in public is worth it, because it's part of the deal. It allows people to experience the artwork in person, which that's something that the internet does not offer. Seeing it.
Well, these are actual items that have texture.
Right.
Actual. I literally just had I have had several conversations in the last 2 days about this. One being, like, Naoshi is a girl from Japan that I kind of got started out here, and she paints in sand. And you see her works, and they look really simple, really cute. It's called kawaii, very cute. She's painting these things with sand.
Right.
Look at it on your phone, you see the little 2-inch by 2-inch, image, and it's really nice and cute. But the next level of appreciation happens when you see the piece in person. So that is super important, the gallery experience. I mean, with what I make, the 3D pieces, you cannot...
No, you have to see it in person.
Look at it and think it's a neat image, but you really have to experience these things. So
yeah.
That's just a service that definitely galleries are providing. That's pretty awesome.
Right.
Yeah, I literally just had I had an email of a guy wanting to buy something, and hit him up. And he's like, "Oh, I've already contacted the artist." And so I contacted the artist, talked to the artist, and she's like, and so I had to explain to her how everything, and she understood, and we resolved all this. But I talked to her for several hours about how this all works. So we're in a really special time where artists can be their own person,
mm-hmm.
and I really believe in self-promotion and selling, and people are doing the Etsy and all that stuff and selling off, and that's awesome. I've thought about as a gallery, everything in the Hive is playful, keeping things understandable, not trying to be crazy about my rules. I don't sign people into contracts where they can't show for 6 months, 3 months before.
Right.
I want people to be free, but I also want to explain to them, maybe in more of like hive or honey type concepts, that if they showed a piece at the gallery and they get hit up in any way, shape, or form, maybe some tips on, like, where did you see the work first? Like, ask the buyer. I mean, the buyer might not even tell you that it's all on my website or whatever, but it's literally just happened within the last week 3 different times with 3 different artists.
Wow.
One was like an instant sale. One I haven't heard back from, and one we really talked it through and really had a great conversation and an understanding conversation where she was like, I want to give the gallery the commission.
Right.
So, I think it's just a reality. It's a reality. It's hard. If you're a gallery, just hope that the artists love showing with you. and like understanding that your relationship with the artist is very important, and just if there's a way that you can put it in your lingo or in your contracts or whatever without being too heavy-handed and too well, it's like I just as we're sort of respecting, like you and I, we have always respected each other and understand, because I've sold your work and shown mine, and we've worked with each other on that. You've always been that way from the very beginning, from Cannibal Flower and beyond. Like there was already a respect for the gallery, but I think with this new weird entitled world that we're in, I don't know if people understand. They don't understand how it works. There's just no way to understand. So I'm going to try to be playful and explain how the gallery system works and how and why am I showing in other galleries? Why am I showing and doing whole feature shows when I could sell my stuff for full 100%? There's a value in showing with other galleries.
Right.
It's important because they take me to art fairs. They show me. They show me the new people. And
right.
It's important being out there and not just being in your own self.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I
answer the question, but I think I'm just because I'm in it, I'm really deep in it. I literally have just had the conversation.
Yeah, no, I think people don't. One thing, a lot of artists don't realize how hard it is to run a gallery. It's fucking hard. It's hard. It's hard to sell art. It's hard to run a gallery. It's hard to make money running a gallery. It's a lot of work. It's it's like it's like as hard as being an artist, maybe. Yeah. Just it's a different kind of hard.
And I mean, we're selling accessory items. In the end, I mean, people don't necessarily need art. I mean, I think that we need art in general.
Right. But they're known as luxury items or whatever.
Everyone else, but it still is an accessory item. I mean, that's going to be the last thing people buy.
Right.
You need a freaking dishwasher or whatever the hell you need at your house.
Yeah.
That's how people think when they have families, and so this is the last item that people are selling. We're selling love. I mean, we're selling like love affairs. Because people buy because they need it.
Right.
They need it. They need that. I believe that art is I think it is the ultimate endeavor, because I think that we have been doing this life gig, the human race has been on this kick. We all have kids, we all do the same cycles. Everyone does the same thing. They're kind of in these simplified lives, and then you die. And we need dance, we need music, we need movies, theater, art. The art is what gives us hope. You're not feeling religion. You got to feel. At least you need something outside, something bigger than the same.
Right.
The office every day. Art is the spark. It's the unknown. It's a secret. It's
the magic.
Where does it come from? And that people can actually take that journey and support, go out and buy, and at least go look at shows.
Right. Yeah, I don't think there's. That's the thing with galleries is I don't think there's nothing to compare it to a gallery show. I mean, not in the art world. It's there's the aspect of community as well is really important, and hanging out. I mean, that's the only social time I have is going to shows, pretty much, for the most part, other than Zello once in a while when we have Zello.
Well, it's different than a museum. I mean, an art show is actually happening.
Right.
It's an actual life form that you're going in and partaking in. Different than a museum, it's kind of more like a fossil.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't even really thinking about museums because it's so outside of our world. But hopefully not forever. But it's more like, it's like a live venue, seeing a band or something. Anyway, I just think galleries should be supported. If you care about art, then you got to support your gallery in your local community too. It's like a local community thing. We just had Jeremy Hush on the show, and he runs this place called the Convent, Philly. It's
Nice.
like an old convent they turned into an art gallery, and it's doing really well. And it's like totally what you're doing with this little building a little community, or what you've done in your world.
Doing a piece at Arch Enemy in Philly at the end of or in March.
Oh, right. Yep. Yeah, Philly's kind of happening, especially for the dark stuff. It's funny. Who'd have thunk? But anyway, I should let you go because I'm at 2 hours here. I don't want to wear out my welcome, but I appreciate you coming on, and you've been a great friend throughout all the years. I'm very, very glad that we became friends because you're an awesome dude. And a great
Right back
artist.
at you.
Well, we got to have some Zello soon.
Sounds amazing.
Yes.
I have dreams about the cornbread pizza.
Cornmeal crust, man. I should get kickbacks from them. I promote it so much.
Well, I'll come out. We've got the anniversary show coming up. Maybe I'll come out and
Raid my closet.
raid the
My storeroom. I got some new stuff I'm working on. So
again.
when is that show?
It's April 4th.
Okay, I'll definitely put something in. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you, Nathan, and thank you, Bacon. Look at that face. Oh my God, he's so cute. I'm gonna take another picture. Bacon.
Look at Chet.
Bacon. He's totally looking. Bacon. He's all confused. What a great dog.
Except the Chet.
Anyway, thank you for coming on, Nathan. I appreciate you taking the time. It was really
Pleasure.
interesting.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I've been, we've been talking about it forever, so I'm glad we finally. I knew it would be a good one. I knew it would be fun. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you want to support this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/Dark Art Society, and you can join for just $1 a month, and you get the podcast a day early, which, man, I got to get that up there because it's Tuesday at 3:55 p.m. That was another thing I wanted to talk to you about. You might want to consider doing a Hive Gallery Patreon. I'm telling you, when we have pizza, I'll tell you about it. But I don't see any gallery doing a Patreon yet. I told Copro you should do a Patreon, man. People want to see behind the scenes in a gallery. And
with our video stuff, maybe we could do some of that. We've been doing a lot of video, 5 o'clock news.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk when we have Zello. Okay, so that's it. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and thank you again, Nathan, for coming on. And say goodbye to everybody. Goodbye, everybody.
Hi, everyone.